Alright, well, hopefully I have enough parts that came in that we can get a good way done on getting the exhaust out of the turbo and away from everything that it needs to be away from. So we'll start off with the nice U shape here, and we'll get cutting and fitting, and hopefully we get somewhere. So let's get rolling. Alright, so our first step in this is we've got to put the V-band on. But the difference is this is a 3-inch V-band for attaching to the turbo, but this is a 3.5-inch pipe. So this one's a butt fit, and as you can tell, it does not really fit. So we are going to massage this tube and hopefully get it to a point that it fits. Alright, so I got that piece zapped up there, and essentially what I did is I just took a crescent wrench and I just worked the edge all the way around until it got close enough to weld. It's not a super pretty weld, but it's going to function. Now we're going to have to bring this over, attach it to the back of the turbo, and start figuring out the nightmare of where all this stuff goes. Alright, so for the most part you can see everything in there. You can see where the wastegate's at and the turbo. So we're just going to mount this guy right up on here. Leave it a little bit loose so we can work it around. So that is the plan. Alright, so after some cursing and cutting out some more of the floor and snaking some elbows in here, we got something that looks like a downpipe. This way I can swing it whichever way I feel like. I probably want to keep it as far away from that as I can. It's already under the floor. We've got this raised section, so we'll come through and it'll have to snake a little bit closer to the transmission there, unless it's entirely possible that if I put the chair in there, it won't even be anywhere near this hump that's down here. So I think I'm going to toss in the racing seat and kind of see how things fit on this side. Alright, so I do have room in here. You can see this kind of bump up here. That's where we're going to have to pass the exhaust around. So there is a little bit of massaging room if I need it. And there's just barely enough foot room with the pipes and everything sitting there. It's not ideal, but that's what we're going to have to do just to have a turbo in such a small little car here. So, I guess next step is to crawl under the car and try to figure out how to continue angling this thing. Alright, now that we got that snaked around there, what I had to do is make this wonderful piece of art right over here. Isn't that something? So essentially what I did is went from the 3.5, and then I started crushing it, and then I split it and put a little extra in there to make an oval shape. This should transition into oval type of stuff without losing any real CFM, even with all the extra little nubs and stuff. So hopefully that'll work out. If not, oh well. But that's going in after we shoot it with a little bit of high temp paint just to seal up these mild steel areas. Alright, so hopefully you can see under here, this is pretty much where the pipe ends up going. And then we slide our joint color. Hold on a second. Alright, so we put our color piece on, and our exhaust comes right on up here. Now I'm going to tighten this thing down, then we'll have this thing mounted where it is. Alright, so that is mounted up. We are there. This is going to have to be enough for today because I'm out of time. That and this will allow us enough room that we can actually fire up the car and not burn something down. That, and I think before I make the rest of the exhaust, I should wait for drive shaft, make sure I'm not interfering with any of that. And then we'll run the fuel lines and that type of stuff, which should be up and over this bar. So we'll run all the fuel line and brake line over here, just because I want everything away from the exhaust. And that'll be how we roll. Alright, so now that I'm kind of thinking along this manner, kind of wondering if something like that would even work. I'm kind of second guessing the thought of going underneath the differential like it had previously, because I'll be running two of these big oval pipes. So I was thinking maybe we can at some point make new side skirts that kind of French it in. I don't know. It's definitely a thought. If nothing else, just throwing it back here probably won't hurt much. It won't hurt ground clearance or anything because of the location. So I don't know. I'll have to think on that. Kind of go half Viper on it. That'll probably be something we have to play around with once we put everything back on the ground again. So that way I can see how everything hangs. But that's pretty much another one to mark off the list. I still have to take the turbo back off and put the gasket on. Like this little thin gasket. So I will do that once I get the lines to run for the oil in and oil drain. So I might need to take the whole thing off just to get those tightened properly. But we are definitely getting there. I still got to get spark plugs to make sure that we don't have some sort of disaster going on with the homemade headers. But that will be for another day. Alright, well I can definitely tell I'm getting closer to completion on this thing, just because every little thing that needs to be checked off takes 3-4 days to accomplish with my work schedule. So that's both a good and a bad thing. So hopefully we can keep moving. Running in a couple of hurdles with dollar flow, but we're pretty close to the end of the month, so that means more dollars coming in to be spent on this thing. So all in all, we're not doing that terrible. We still got plenty of things that we can do. Maybe thinking this next time we should start working on the finishing off that surge tank for the fuel. Then we can mark that off the list that we got going in the corner and move on to other things. So thanks for stopping by, and hopefully we'll see you again later.